Oh, welcome to this very special little section in our program Low Gear, and with me is Lloyd. And Lloyd,
hello,
welcome
Paul.
to our little show.
Yeah, g'day.
And what you've got sitting next to us here is a very rare piece of machinery indeed, and it's an electric truck from around about the 1919, give or take.
Yeah, that's correct. It's brand spanking 1919, bought by the Christchurch MED, and we've had it since new. I now work for Orion, which are the company that's transpired out of the MED.
Oh yes.
And we just maintain the vehicle.
Is it much to maintain?
Not at the moment, no. It's been refurbished a couple of times in its life, and it's just a matter of keeping the batteries charged and keeping the warrant on it, and she's great.
There's a man called Gordon Malcolm who lives in Waitoa, and the Waitoa dairy factory had about 20 or so of these. Right, he's got a photograph of them all lined up with their milk cans on. And he said they charge overnight, and then the next day they go out and do their 60 miles odd, collect all the milk cans and come back and then recharge overnight. And the only thing that's left of that is a set of front axles.
Right.
But it's got the same sort of built-in pattern as that's got.
Yeah, and in this Edwardian era, Christchurch had about 200 electric vehicles.
Really?
And a lot of these trucks, MED had trucks with big scaffolds to do street lighting and all sorts of things on them, and doctors had electric cars and everything, and the city had a big destructor for burning the rubbish. And they generated electricity from that, and all these vehicles would do their day-to-day business and come back to the MED and get charged up overnight, and similar to the dairy factory.
Amazing.
Yep, it's
absolutely amazing. Now what strikes me as funny is today they're talking about how do we make electric vehicles. Well, they've only got to go back to 1920 and they know all about it, you know.
Yeah, but I think 60k is not quite far enough for everyone today though.
But even so, I'm just saying the technology is there, and we've got the young brains these days to sort of, you know, do the homework and turn it into something that actually does sort of like 600k and
correct,
and recharges itself as it travels and probably runs on water.
Who knows? Yeah, all those things are there, aren't they?
That's right. Because I always thought when the steam era and the petrol era, well, everybody thought it was going to go steam, but it didn't. It went the petrol way. There's probably more money in petrol than there is in water.
Probably is.
And so that's why the combustion engine sort of took off over steam. And then electric came along. Yeah, but if somebody had done their homework with steam and evolve, we'd be running on a cup of water these days.
We may well be.
Yeah.
Yes, may well be.
It's just, but there's no money in water.
No, everyone can just run the tap and you get a country.
Yeah, exactly. There's no money. You need, but they still would need grease and oil and all that sort of thing to make the wheels go round. But I'm just wondering what would have happened. You know, it's one of those. Same with this. If there wasn't so much money in petrol, this might have gone.
Technologies, more work may have done into studying the technologies back then and speed things up a bit, but we still have the issue of heavy batteries and those sorts of things to get over, but who knows, in the future we could be running on a wee battery this big, you know.
Yeah. So, you know, you've got 200 trucks here. The North Island's got its share of electric trucks as well, and in England, of course, they had the electric milk carts that delivered nice and quiet. Yeah. How quiet's this? And
very quiet. In fact, I've been driving and had to yell at a cyclist to say them because it's got no horn either. Oh. It's that quiet. Yeah.
And we did a story. You might remember our story, folks. We did on the Stanley steamer, and when we actually it was going, but when they shut everything up, we were ready to go. It just went. It's quiet. Absolutely no noise at all. It just off it went.
It's great for talking to someone in the cab. There's no motor noise.
That's right. So this is, as I said, this is unique. This is probably one of the last ones left in the world.
As we understand, it's probably only one or two left operating in the world. There is a few around in museums, but not operating, we understand.
No. Is it American or English?
This is an American vehicle, yes, and imported and brought over to New Zealand.
Back in the time. That's another thing, you know, you had to pay tariffs and whatnot for American stuff, but the government could buy it, but not the ordinary punter. So we had to sort of stick with the Morrises and the Austins and the...
Yeah, well, I don't know, this has been the council, I suppose, they had no tariffs.
Same boat. Fair enough. Cousins.
You got it,
We're going to see this in the parade this afternoon.
You are? Yep.
That's right.
And we're going to have it here again tomorrow.
Right. So I think what we we need to do really is maybe if we can, and there's not many people around, maybe just take this for a little bit of a spin.
No problem at all. Do you want to jump in?
Excellent. I'll just jump on the other side.
Okay.
Oh, just before we finish, I just got to tell you folks, my experience with electric vehicles is I drove the electric trolley buses in Auckland. You know, and the 2 trolleys up the rails, and it was fun.
Don't have to worry about batteries.
No, but then you lost the poles occasionally, you know, so you had to, in order to go straight ahead when there was a conjunction, you know, you go around the corner, you just drifted. And if you wanted to go around the corner, there was a point where you had to put the ply to power. The poles change over and followed you around. But if there were some girls on the side, of course you blew it. You know, one pole went that way, one went in the end, they went. It was meant you could get out and talk to the girls while they're putting these poles back up.
It's not all bad, is it?
No. Let's go for a ride.
Okay, good as gold.
We'll just...
This left-hand brake is the park brake, and it's got a ratchet on, so that holds it. And the right-hand brake is the normal drive brake, so you've got to disengage that to drive, and then if we had to brake while we're driving, we just apply that brake like that. But typically we try and use the, suppose the accelerator for want of a term, this lever here, to speed you up and slow you down where possible, because the brakes will overheat if they're overused. So there we go.
What sort of tonnage would you have on the back of this?
Oh, I would say it probably only holds 1/2 to a tonne max weight. Truck weighs 2.5 tonne.
Does it really?
Yeah.
2.5 tonne?
Yeah, battery weight.
Oh, okay, yeah. They're not light, are they?
No.
Is it a lead battery or?
No, well, they were lead acid original.
Yeah.
We've since put in some nickel cadmium batteries, so they're easier to maintain.
That sounds flash.
Not the flashiest of batteries now, but no, they're actually old standby batteries from a TV translator.
Oh, okay.
So they work fine.
There are electric forklifts that also have big batteries. Are they on a similar par with your?
Oh yeah, I think they're a bit more modern than this, and motors are probably far more efficient, so therefore don't.
No, I meant the actual battery that runs them.
Oh yeah, it's pretty standard battery technology. I'd suggest you're probably correct. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Hi everyone, my new book, Talking Trucks, is now available. I'll just read you what Alex McClellan of McClellan Freight in Balclutha had to say in the foreword. This book is the result of many miles travelled, many people met, and many vehicles and machines documented. As people pass on, their stories go with them. So it was great that Bill and Linda could document their stories, not only for their historic value to New Zealand, but also to the families of the people who took the time to pass it on through Bill's shows. I think this book goes some way to honouring that responsibility. Thank you, Alex. I also spoke to Gavin Abbott, and Gavin, as you know, is an author himself, written something like 6 or 7 or 8 trucking books, and he said, well, Bill, as you know, I've read a few trucking books in my time, but I have to tell you that this book is up there with the best of them. So there you go. If you'd like to get your copy, the easiest way is to go to our webpage at www.lowgear.co.nz, or flick me an email, billhohepper@extra.co.nz, or perhaps even just give me a call, 027 277 0717, and we can sort out the details. So there you go, Talking Trucks, now available, and maybe you get your copy for a gift for Father's Day. Jenner's Worldwide Freight. They provide simplified, custom-built solutions to your supply chain needs. Their 37 years of experience and their team of experts find the answers to your freight challenges. They work hard to understand what matters most to you and your clients. Check them out at www.jenners.co.nz. That's www.jenners.co.nz. Welcome back. When we were at Twizel, both Max Lai and Mike Higgins had heard of the big Marion face shovel that worked at Benmore, and they both thought it ended up at Stockton. Mickey Ryan from Out West Tours in Westport knows where the remains of the Marion is, and his mate Gary Cummins knows a bit about the old girl. So let's have a chat about the old Marion with Gary. Over the last 40 shows we've done, we've come across a big mechanical shovel called a Marion, and Gary, this is what's left of the one that used to be at Stockton.
Yeah, this is a bucket from the Marion shovel, which is a 5-yard bucket. It originally came with a 7-yard bucket on it, but they took the 7-yard bucket off, put a 5-yard bucket on it, and put a longer boom on it to reach the higher face.
Oh, okay.
And then they put an extra counterweight in the back of the Marion shovel to counterweight it. And it was actually 1947 Marion, and it was a 191M Marion shovel. That was the serial number on it. Yeah, when I was a child at school, like there wasn't health and safety at the mines then, and all the kids used to go work with their fathers on a Saturday and ride in these machines and ride in the trucks and stuff, which is a definite no-no.
Gave you inspiration for coming, inspired you to get into all this in later years?
Yeah.
As a kid?
No, well, I really never wanted to be a machine operator. I wanted to be a carpenter, but my brother was apprentice and mechanic, and I didn't like school. I used to sit and watch him do his assignments, and I thought, this is not for me. So I went to the mine and became an operator, which I really enjoyed. I always found the challenge.
Yeah, wow.
And those days we didn't have to do sign-offs. You basically taught yourself. I used to drive a truck for a start at 17. I drove a truck for 12 months before I could even get my licence. You had to be 18 to get a licence.
Seemed to be the norm over here on the coast.
Yeah, and then I basically used to eat my lunch in the truck, and when the guys went for smokers, and then I'd get on their loaders and dozers and learn myself, basically.
Good on you.
Yeah, the teeth on the bottom of these are called the dipper sticks, and the teeth on the bottom of there run on a little cog, which you'll see on the other part of the boom when we get over there, and that's what run the dipper sticks in and out when they were just worked it that way.
It's a big thing.
Yeah, well, you can see the pulley on the top there. The rope went up to the jib.
So this bit here affixes to that?
It runs through here. See, there's the little wheel, those cogs on the run off up and down there.
Any idea what it weighed?
The Marion itself, it was, I believe it was 190 tonne. Like, that's about the same weight as a 1900 Hitachi, but they look far bigger than that.
This is for the wires?
Yeah, this is for the cables, run down the boom into the main winch drum. Had a massive big winch in there.
Wow.
Yeah.
Look at this, folks. Enormous. Gary, would you have seen this working?
Yes, I've seen it working. It came back from the Cape Fowl, and they used it on the breakwater out there at the quarry at out the cement works.
Oh,
there
right.
to bring rock in for the breakwater, and it came back to Stockton. It was never really dug rock again. It was used once that I can remember, probably around 69, 70. Yeah, my father was actually the last person to drive the shovel.
Okay.
And yeah, it was parked up, I'm not 100% sure, early 70s. That would be the last time it was used.
Is there any sort of, you know, are they going to try and restore this?
Only these two pieces here. The rest of it has been gone for scrap.
Oh,
These two pieces are going to be set up at the Grundy Museum. It's going to be set up the same way as it was attached to the boom,
yep.
to the main body of the digger.
Gary, brakes?
Yeah, this is the main brake for the dipper sticks when they run in and out.
Oh yes, yeah.
When he went out, if he wanted to stop at a certain length, they just apply the brake.
Would you put your foot on a lever? Or
No, they had from what I can remember, it had a big panel on the side of the cab, and they had all switches on there,
yeah.
and they worked by that.
Oh.
It actually had one pedal slewed it one way, the other pedal slewed it the other way, and just had two levers back and forward, one for the boom up and down, and one for the dipper sticks in and out.
And
but
to get the shovel, does it shovel this way?
Yeah, it's shoveled out the way as a face shovel. Yeah, not as a backhoe.
And then lift it around and put it over whatever, and then
yeah,
the bottom
put it over the truck, and the back door just opened out on it. Yeah,
and then
pretty simple.
Like we watched the guy with his drag line.
Yeah.
Beautiful to watch. No slew, chuck, drag.
Yeah, I missed that program. Yeah, it was only on a few weeks ago. Yeah. I missed that one because when I was at the Ministry of Works, they had an RB30 drag line exactly the same as that, but I never got to go at that.
No. I was just saying, this is sort of starting to fall to bits a bit.
Yeah, she's pretty rusty.
Anyway, it's going to be a museum piece, so if you're down Granity Way, just continue along a ways and you'll come across this. Is that where they're going to have it?
Yeah, it's going to be set up at the Grundy Museum.
Yeah, in due course.
It's supposed to be, well, it was supposed to be this month, October, I believe. They got a grant from Lotto to set it up down there. Originally the whole machine was going to be set there, but it was in pretty poor condition. All the cab was rusted off it, and that. So then Solid Energy's run out of money, of course. So yes, the rest of it got scrapped.
This is part of the Marion too, Gary.
Yeah, this is the anchor part for the boom, which sits on the top of and behind the cab, and the ropes came off the top of the jib in through the pulleys here, as you can see, and down through onto the main winch drum which drove it.
Those ropes are pretty important.
Yes, very important.
And you might remember, folks, we did a little piece on a big crane at Taramanui, and you can see rope after rope after rope, all lined up, and it's the same with this.
Yeah, you'll see them on the photos I've got. Yeah. Plus that piece over there is a brake there on there for running the jib out. You see that going around the other side there.
Yeah. Thank you so much for that, Gary. A great insight into a very big machine of his day. Well, as you probably know, my new book, Talking Trucks, is now available, and you can get your copy just by going to my webpage at www.lowgear.co.nz, and if you can't get hold of me, maybe just give me a call, 027 277 0717. It's 280 pages of the history of New Zealand trucking, going all the way back to the 1900s, the 1920s. They even had electric trucks in the 1920s, the 30s, back in the day when they had wooden stock crates and things were a bit more manly, I suppose you'd say, back then, the 40s, through the war. After the war, the GMCs came, in the 50s, the Commas, the R190s, the logging, and it's all in this book. So a great little history of the New Zealand trucking scene through the ages. So, as I said, to get your copy, go to the webpage, www.lowgear.co.nz, and you can buy your copy there, or just give me a call, 027 277 0717. I've met some interesting Kiwis in our travels, and John Curry is up there with the best of them. He's an old bushman from way back, the sort of bloke that can fix things with a piece of number 8 wire, a paper clip, or a piece of baling twine. John's taken the old Betty with a couple of logs on the back to the valley that he lives in. I didn't see a sawmill anywhere down there, but I wouldn't be surprised at all to find out that John actually makes planks from these logs by hand using an old pit saw or something like that. John has pretty much lived in this valley all his life and has eked out a living here over the years. He's a long way off the beaten track, and there's not many places in the world where the wildlife comes out to greet you when you arrive back home. John and his valley are actually part of Mickey Ryan's Out West tours, and Mickey brings tourists into the valley to enjoy John's unique place in the world, his stories and his great sense of humour. John enjoys the company of his 3 dogs, and they all head home for a well-earned cuppa. Just before we talk to John, Mickey explains this odd-looking milk can.
This is for pack horses. This used to be originally cut out of the bush for a dairy farm up here, and they packed the cream down the river to Charleston. There's your hooks for the he went broke obviously because the floods, half the time he couldn't get his cream down there, and because he had to cross the rivers. There was no roads in here, of course. His name was Atkins, and this area is named Atkins Flat after him. Yeah.
John's gone ahead and is literally putting the billy over the fire for a cup of tea. This is John's home. He knows this valley well, and it holds plenty of memories for him. Now let's join John and have a look at some of his old photos of times gone by.
The very first safety hat, 1959 they issued us with them, and they're just a sound shell, makes the sound of the saw go vibrating in there and knocks your ears about. Yeah.
It's relatively light, isn't it? It's not too...
No, they're not too bad. But of course you got that on your head when you're in the bush. You can't see as good, and because we were logging in the bush. You needed your hearing, you needed everything about you, and we found the hat as well as the earmuffs when they first come out to be a bloody nuisance.
So the earmuffs would have caused you a sissy if you had put your bloody earmuffs on?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, definitely. and you'll see logging photos around where, I think I've got one there somewhere, where I'm falling a tree, I don't have my hat on, and then I'm sniping the thing, and I get my photo taken with the snipe and the hat sitting on the log, because if the bush inspector came along and you didn't have your hat with you, he'd go crook and tell you have to leave the bush.
Wow.
So that we saw it as a bloody an inhibitor in every way.
A hindrance.
Yeah. A total hindrance. But we got used to it.
Yeah.
And today, you've got your bright coloured shirt, you got the whole thing today, and you don't go in the bush without your chainsaw pants on, I find the chainsaw pants a nuisance as well. But yeah, when I worked in the bush, it was shorts and a singlet, nothing else.
Yeah, that's pretty much what it was, yeah.
Yeah. OLB Bedford Gum Flax Company. That's a photo of it from behind. You can see the width and size of the wheels. And my old man in a homemade racing car At Karangaroo, he was down there building the Karangaroo River Bridge. He used to go down in the big pressure chamber, and he was living at Karangaroo in 1938, that was.
And did he win anything?
No, it wasn't his car. He'd just taken it for a test drive for the joker that owned it.
Right.
Yeah.
So.
5 tonne of sphagnum moss going to market.
The old Betty?
Yeah, yeah. J6 LC3. I come from, believe it or not, I bought them pipes from Stockton on that truck.
All the way back here?
All the way back here, and coming in fair down straight. I was running late and I got going a bit quick, and she's going over a couple of bumps and the front wheels come off the ground and the pipe scraped on the road and a great cloud of sparks behind me. I could have ended up in the bush easy. That's my brother Val and the bush boss Gordon Henriksen, and that's not the same truck as the other one. That's a Thornton Drive Ford, and they had they took the V8 petrols out of them and put a P6 Perkins in them. It's a hauling spar. The cable goes right up the cable goes right up to the top of the hills in the bush, and you get a lift to lift the logs up, and it's also to be able to lift the logs to put them on the truck, because you never had front end loaders or log grapples or anything like that.
And that'd be one of the woolen singlets with the sleeves he's wearing there.
That's right. It's a genuine original woolen singlet.
Yeah, used to wear those
bush shirt.
Yeah, that's what they are. Bush shirts, yeah. And this is looks like the old Leyland.
That's an old Leyland, yeah, a 4-wheeler. Yeah, that was used by Taronga Bay Sawmilling Company for 20 years, and she used to cart some big loads too.
Yeah, it did. Yeah. Was it just a single drive or?
Yeah.
Yeah. And this is the Model T.
And Model T Ford. That's my grandfather and my uncle Frank, and they're digging coal in the coal pit at Charleston. And you can see it's got a bloody good load on it too.
So that's a truck?
That's a Model T truck. Yeah.
Wow.
About 1925, I think that photo was.
They were a popular truck, those F-180s. Everybody seemed to want them.
Oh yeah, no, I love that old F-1800.
Little poodle dog there.
Yeah. It was given to my daughter.
Little Betty.
Yeah.
What am I looking at here?
Oh, that's looking down my pipeline over the river there when I was building my sawmill.
So that's what the pipes were for when you brought them over from the...
That's what I was bringing the pipe for, to put a water-powered sawmill in.
It's getting a bit more modern.
Yeah, that's my dad on Frank Menzies cream truck on Costello's Hill while it was still a gravel road.
That's a cart in a shed.
That's the same place as the other photo was taken from here looking towards the mountains with the load of logs on, and that's bringing the old loading winch back across the river.
Is that flax?
That's 3 tonne of flax on an OLB.
Was it the market for it then still?
Oh yeah, the flax mill was going in Westport at the time. Yeah. When did the flax mill close?
About early 70s.
Early 70s, yeah. That would have been 63.
Yeah. Pipes.
And that's over 14 foot wide with the flax laid both ways. Big V8 petrol, twin ignition, airport crash tender. I was going to run tourists down through the gorge, down here with it.
The wedding cake.
It never eventuated.
Where did that truck come from?
Nelson.
Nelson Airport.
Roger Humphrey.
Oh, okay. Oh, you know him.
Roger was on that trip with you on that farewell spit, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was, yeah.
Yeah. A hard man, Roger.
Good on you, John.